What's going on, guys? This is Ep.4 of the Pearson podcast, and I am with a very incredibly special guest,
Wow.
one of my best friends in the whole wide world.
The best friend in the whole wide
You
world.
got me, you got me. Dallas Tronsdal. Hold the applause, everyone. Standing ovation. Um, when did we meet? Was it freshman
Probably.
year or sophomore?
Well, I saw you moving around in freshman year, but we
Yeah.
didn't really become friends until I believe it was like the very end of our sophomore year.
Yeah, because we became friends just because our friend group, some of the people were friends with you, and those guys were friends with me as well. So we kind of just like ended up in the same group and just worked out. Who would have
And then
thought? You know what I mean? Who
yeah,
would have
because
freaking thought?
it really progressed. I mean, like our junior year, we were freaking inseparable. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And
it
then
really was written in stone.
literally, yeah, and then we had plans to go to Shoreline Community College or technical, I forgot what it was, but we
Yeah.
were planning on doing moving in together with another friend, Josiah, and everything. And thank God that didn't happen.
I
Nothing
know.
against that would have been a fun thing, but shoot,
Oh,
we would have been in
man, just
debt. We would have been who knows where we would
three
have been.
three guys and a man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad life went the way it was supposed to be.
Exactly. Yeah. It
Yeah.
all happens for a reason. That's
Yes,
one thing
sir.
that we have in common. We both believe that, and I love that outlook. Um, so this is I already made my second episode was kind of explaining the Unalaska trip and all the camping trips I've gone on, and this is the man that has accompanied me on the craziest. I mean, all of the camping trips really, but that I haven't been on with my family. Which with my family we would just go into like the camping sites, like national parks or whatever, where there's like bathrooms and stuff. Me and Dallas, on the other hand, we like to go balls deep into the nature where there are no camping sites and there are no
No people.
nightly fees even. So, it's nice. No people, no bathrooms. Um, Man, I mean, we can make, a podcast for each individual trip because each comes with,
Yeah,
a story of its own.
we'll have to do that eventually.
For sure, literally, because we've been on some trips. So
To say the least.
yeah,
Yeah.
man, but I mean, I think it'd be cool since I already kind of started the Unalaska video, and then like halfway through I realized I'm like, why am I not doing this with Dallas? So we can I'd like to go through that trip in depth, and on the
Mm.
second episode, I mean, if you want, we can do whatever you want, but just kind of like because on the first episode that I already did, I stopped at the trailhead before we
Oh,
when we camped there, but you have an entirely different perspective of the whole thing. So
I
do
do.
you want to do that? Do you want to talk about that?
I am so down. I can go into depth about every freaking moment of
Yeah,
that.
well, let's start from the beginning, like the very beginning, like because me and you, or you brought it up because your dad was a pilot for, how do you say that, for flying to
He was, a charter pilot for
charter pilot.
not charter pilot. Yeah, kind of charter. I don't know. It's the Peninsula Airways. They went bankrupt during the whole COVID thing. But before that, I remember Riley and I were sitting playing Battlefield 5 once or something,
Right.
and we we always do this thing where we think of our next big trip because before
Hmm.
that we'd done some really crazy things that
Right.
put us in a lot of crazy situations.
Hmm. Yeah.
We'll get into depth about, but I think we were playing Battlefield 5, and I I always look for the trippiest place we could possibly go.
Yeah.
Like what would take us the most out of our element,
Hmm.
and I grew up hearing about Dutch Harbor because, that's generally where the Norwegians in Washington State
Mm,
go, is Dutch Harbor.
mm,
That's how it was. And so I sent Riley, I did this thing where I go onto Google Maps or Google Earth,
mhm,
send a far out picture like that shows the
yeah.
whole West Coast, and I zoomed into Dutch Harbor. And like, that's where we're going, my friend.
Yeah, and I'm like, that'd be cool, but, it was
How would we do
obviously,
it?
yeah, 600 or so miles away from our home,
2,000,
so it's like,
two
at that
thousand miles away from us.
2,000?
Yeah, bro, 2,000 miles away.
Dude, I think I put in my video 600 miles. I totally
Uh,
sold
I
it.
I don't think you put. I think you did 2,000.
Really? I hope I did. But yeah, ding dong, 2,000 miles, Jiminy Crickets. And so it was over Battlefield. For some reason, I thought it was because we like going to nature spots and making a fire and having a brew. So I thought it was, I mean, we probably talked about it multiple
Yeah,
times.
we definitely did that as well.
Yeah. So but that was probably the first time you sent it. And I was like, I mean, yeah, that looks great, but are we really ever gonna get there? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
obviously it costs a lot of money, you know what I mean? But then things
yeah,
progressed, like, and quickly too, right?
very. It was snappy. I
So
mean,
you confirmed that we would be able to get the buddy pass
well,
it.
yeah, because normally, to get over there, you got to buy, a $200 ticket to Anchorage, and then
Mhm,
you got to get a $800 to $1,000 ticket to hop on one of the Saab 2000s to get out to the islands.
right.
That's a costly journey, a much less fuel efficient airplane. So,
Mm.
um,
And
but
smaller airstrips and everything, so you
smaller
can't take
airstrips,
a big.
you can't fly a jet out there. I mean,
Mhm,
you remember what it was like landing on that thing. Imagine trying to do that in a jet.
right.
Wouldn't
Right,
work. But my cousin, my dad couldn't get us the passes to get to Dutch Harbor, because his airline, he works for Peninsula Airlines. They contract for Alaska, but he's Peninsula. Anyway, my cousin, um, shout out to Dale George.
yeah,
He
shout out.
he uh, he works for Alaska, and he was able to get us the full buddy pass to hop out to Dutch Harbor for
Mm.
$250. Washington Anchorage to Dutch Harbor for both of us.
I mean,
250 one way. Or no, was it 250 one way, or did we have to
I
pay a
th
500 each?
I don't remember paying 500, but it could have
Yeah,
been.
I think it was
Either
just 250
500 would have been a good deal, you know what I mean? So,
to do
I
that.
would have been great. But yeah, so you contacted me, you're like, "It's actually happening."
That was a true. We really fought to get there.
Oh
Like,
my gosh, yeah.
we
For
the
real.
whole time. I don't know if this is where we're at in our podcast, but I'm gonna mention the storms that we had to kind of dodge
Well,
to
that
get
was
there.
it was yeah, we were planning. You had that, what was that app called? You could see the
It
typhoons.
was something called like a wind map. It gets atmospheric data and collected from satellites and whatnot, and
Right.
shows accurate wind across the whole Earth. And
You
the
could
whole
see the
time,
miles per hour and everything.
yeah, we were seeing I was watching a typhoon that was just heading right towards Unalaska, the Aleutian
Yeah.
Islands, and it had like gusts of, it's like a whirlpool, and in the center of
Mhm.
that, on the right edge of that whirlpool, it would be like 128 kilometers per hour, and that's like that's like 100-mile-per-hour winds, and it wouldn't be fun to be out there. So we let that one pass. We waited a week, then we went there again, and then I noticed right as we were getting there, we'll get into that later, that there was another one coming, but we were
Right.
already there. So
Yeah, and we can discuss that
yeah,
when we get to the end of our trip, because that was definitely
yeah. There are
tense.
typhoons coming in from Japan, essentially.
Oh, yeah, because yeah, once we're there, we're pretty close to Japan. It's pretty crazy in
Yeah,
Russia and all that.
very
So,
tricky location.
yeah, for real. So it was confirmed, and we were like, okay, let's frickin' pack our crap and plan a date and everything. So, um, yeah, we planned it. So what we got a Mr. Buddy heater because we knew it was gonna be cold, and we knew it was gonna be cold and possibly windy. So we got propane powered like little Mr. Buddy heater. That's what it's called. It just blows heat at you. And I think that was, what other investments did we get? I don't even think
We
anything else.
we did a lot of our shopping in Dutch Harbor. Like
Yeah. And
we got a few
we were already campers, so we had, tent, uh,
sleeping bags and
camping
stuff.
supplies, yeah.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of our shopping in Dutch Harbor just so we didn't have to fly with it. And so we got, and one thing I said in my first video that we should have gotten a lot more of, and I'm sure you would agree, is Fireball or some sort of liquor, dude. Because we
Yeah,
went
that was a hot commodity
for
out
real,
there.
and that would have helped so much more, or if we had more, because we drank the whole. I mean, it was like, I don't know how many ounces it was. It was not that big, you know what I mean? So we got through it the first 2 days.
It's kind of necessary out there because
Yeah, for
you're
sure.
dealing with extremes, and I mean, we could have done it without the fireball, and it would have been still amazing. But
Yeah,
it really helps you get to sleep at night,
that
and
was the thing, man. Sleep.
sleeping is hard. Sleeping is always hard.
And the nights were windy, so the tent was just like constantly, and that wasn't even during a storm. So, and it's cold. It gets cold at night. I mean, you're on an island in the middle of the ocean. It's going to be cold and windy.
Yeah,
So we thought the Mr. Buddy heater would be enough. We got some propanes. The only thing is we couldn't keep it on the whole night just because we were, scared of uh, breathing in too much CO2, or I guess whatever, propane, whatever. And we didn't have time to get one of those readers that you hang in your tent, and it like beeps or whatever when it's too high of a reading.
I do
So
believe that thing. Sorry to interrupt.
you're fine.
That thing would have stopped if it got too
Oh,
too
really?
concentrated.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. So we would basically, how we did it, is we would just turn it on once we got like too cold and we just needed it. And I guess right before we went to sleep, we would turn it off. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah,
we would wake up in the middle of the night, turn it on, blah, blah, blah. So that was a pain in the bunions, but it worked out. So, but now, in hindsight, literally, we could have done without the Mr. Buddy heater and just invested into some sleeping pads,
yeah,
because that's what we're gonna need next time, dude. Because the heat comes from the ground up, like, because we're all bundled up in warm clothes, and the tent holds in oxygen, but the ground, there's like no insulation there. You know what I mean? We're just sitting
yeah.
right on the ground.
I remember in my search and rescue training, they were telling us like you lose, I think, about 90% of your body heat from the ground. So if
Makes
you have a
sense.
sleeping pad, that man, we could have done a lot better a lot of times with a
For
sleeping.
sure. For sure,
Like
dude.
Jackman Creek, remember
Oh my.
that night was cold, and you were a lot warmer than me, but
dude, dude, that's a podcast in itself right
yeah, we'll
there.
have to
But
get into that.
like, what? Just real quick, what was like the coldest temperature you think it got there?
Probably -7 degrees, I
Yeah,
think.
literally.
Which,
And all we
yeah,
had to keep us warm was obviously sleeping bag, and we had like a candle and
we put a
emer-
freaking
emergency
emergency
blanket.
blanket on top of the tent,
Yep.
taped it up there
Yeah,
somehow,
exactly.
and it's all wet, so you can't really tape for shit.
Dude,
And
we were like, I'm like so cold, but warm in my sleeping bag, and Daz is like, we have to put up the emergency blanket. I'm like, I don't want to get out of this thing. He's like, I'm just gonna freaking do it. I'm like, I'll help him out. But yeah,
he
like
had a
as
lot
he
better
said, just
sleeping bag.
slipping around, because yeah, he packed lighter, which it was smarter, and I packed a heavier suitcase, which wasn't as smart because we had to walk a distance, but I guess it worked out. But sleeping pads would have completely, it would have been
Yeah,
an absolute game changer. And anytime next we go on a camping trip, we're gonna get sleeping pads for sure.
yeah.
So okay, trip is confirmed. We're all packed up. We're ready to rock, right?
We're ready to rock.
And we brought like, I mean, not even that much cash to spend because we knew we were camping, you know what I mean? And we knew there were hotels there, of course, but our plan, our plan was not even to stay in a hotel at all, right? At first.
I mean, imagine if we were just out there in the 70-mile-per-hour winds,
Oh my God.
camping in
So,
one of those bunkers.
yeah, next to a homeless guy. So basically, or yeah, the plan was to get there, right off the plane, head straight to campsite. We quickly realized there
Ugh.
just wasn't going to be enough time, and there probably would have been, but it's a vacation at the end of the day, you know? Maybe not the type of vacation other people would want to go on, but for us, that's the ultimate vacation.
Right.
So, you got
I
something to say?
remember when we got there, like, so we got on the planes. It was an amazing flight. We had some Baileys on the
Bailey's and
flight. It
coffee.
was good.
Yeah, that was
Beautiful,
cool.
beautiful flight. Windy as hell.
Yeah, we saw the
Got there.
volcano.
Yeah. Oh, that was amazing. I
Mm.
think that was. I can't remember which volcano it was. Anyway.
And when we started seeing the island, I'm like, oh
Oh
my
man.
God. Literally
I
looked like Jurassic Park.
I know. I started seeing the islands that I've heard stories about ever since I was a kid from
And
the
we've
old
been,
Norwegians.
dude, that's
Yeah.
that's such a trip. And obviously we've been researching it over Google Earth for the longest time, trying to plan
Yeah.
our camping trip and which route we're going to and everything like that. So go on.
Yeah, like I remember on the flight I was checking Google Maps because it for some reason it
Right.
could show my location over the middle of the Bering Sea.
Oh wow.
I could see, all
That's
right,
sick.
we should be seeing Akutan Island coming up.
Oh right, yeah.
We got there, and this is the thing, we had planned to go like 20 miles.
Yeah, we were considering going to the volcano even.
Yeah, we think next time we should really try to get to
Yeah.
Makutan. That would be a
I mean, we
whole,
could rent a car or just take the taxi. I mean, now that we know there's
yeah,
taxis everywhere.
yeah, it's true. We really should.
Hmm.
Um, and lost my train of thought. But yeah,
We were
we were
planning on going like 20 miles. That's what you said.
um, and when we got there, we realized that this was incredibly rugged terrain. It was not
Yeah.
something you just walk 20 miles and you're fine. You're like, all right,
Yeah.
hobbits, let's go.
Right. And it was a lot bigger than what it looked like on Google Earth. Like you see Google Earth and you're like, okay, you just go from here down this
Go up
road
the
to
mountain, go
here.
down. All right,
Yeah.
dude.
Up, down the mountain, down the mountain. And then we get there and the mountain's like boom, like into the
I,
clouds barely. And it's like, all right, probably not
like
gonna make a day trip of that.
this is how I was. It would be like, if I take one step further, this is the farthest from the Shire.
Yeah, dude. Exactly. Oh my gosh. So yeah, we quickly had to reroute to Ugadaga Bay, which turned out to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was just a
So
5 mile hop. It's
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and that was the perfect amount of literally, I mean, the trip couldn't have been more perfect. We just
yeah,
got really lucky.
I remember I mapped out all of our walking for the whole trip, and we racked in like 25 miles of walking that whole trip,
Wow.
back and
Yeah.
forth mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. So we land and we didn't have any real say in the date, right? Did we just luckily get there on a Friday?
I don't remember.
Okay, so but we knew there was talk about a buffet on Fridays,
Oh yeah.
and then we
Ugh.
got there on a Friday, the only day we were planning. I mean, so we quickly decided, okay, there's not enough time to go their camp, or there probably is, but we would be stressing and blah blah blah. So we are just
Mm.
like, let's just pay for a hotel. And in that hotel, every Friday or maybe every other Friday, whatever, there was a buffet, a giant um uh seafood and just gourmet food buffet. And we luckily got there that day. So we check in and it's actually a nice hotel, like for being in the middle of nowhere. It's a nice hotel.
Yeah, it's like a little haven out in the tundra there, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and I bet it's called the Grand Illusion, and I'm sure they just have, you know, rich investors that just did it because there's a lot of, deadliest catches there, and I
Yeah,
bet the
all the economy there is driven by fishing and oil.
yeah,
So
exactly. So they need a good. So a lot of rich people come there. I'm assuming a lot of tourists as well. I mean, we quickly realized we were like the only Americans there. You know what I mean? Like the tourists would come down the trail, they're like German or
yeah,
something. You know what I mean? So yeah, we go to the pretty decent hotel. Everybody is fishermen. They got off the plane with us, and they're all talking amongst each other and probably know each other from multiple trips and blah blah
yeah.
blah.
That
And
one guy.
yeah, Mark, I believe his name.
Yeah, Mark.
Uh,
Wow.
and he So he comes up to us, just a couple of knuckleheads with like giant sacks filled with supplies. You know what I mean? He's like, What did he say? Like, what ship are you guys on?"
Yeah, what ship are you guys on? I'm like, he assumed we were gonna be on one of the tenders or a crab boat or something,
Yeah.
and we
Oh
told him
shit.
we're here to what did we say? We're here
We're
to
here to
go.
camp.
And he's like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It's like apparently that's uncommon, and especially in September. You know what I mean? The end of September. So so yeah, he kind of low key gave us some cool spots to go to that we'll probably go next time, but didn't have
Yeah,
enough time to go.
like for one example, he told us because the island has a rich history, and that's something I'll be getting into.
Yeah.
Like in World War II, it was actually no, they don't teach this in American history classes, but the Aleutian Island chain was invaded by the Japanese.
Mm,
Um, so they have these little ridges cut into the mountains to uh, look like skylines, like the building, like the tops of buildings.
right. Yeah,
And they had
exactly.
it designed so that the Japanese fighter planes would look at those and think that's where the mountains ended. So they crash right into the mountains. It's crazy. There's
Dude,
actually a few wreckages of Japanese Zeros, Mitsubishi airplanes out there.
should have took a metal detector over there.
Man, we need to do that someday.
For real. Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, there were bunkers everywhere. I mean, there was no secret that some crap had gone down there. You know what I mean? Like at
Yeah.
the base of the ocean, there's just bunker after bunker. And at the top of this mountain, Mark told us about all these cool bunkers we could go to. And actually later in our trip, we found an old outlook or outpost or whatever it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
At the
that
trailhead.
outpost was. I don't know what happened there, but something happened to that outpost.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously made of wood, so they probably just, I mean, the
It's
wind might be, maybe
yeah,
just, they
it
just,
could have just been over time. That is 70
yeah,
plus
yeah,
80 years
exactly.
now.
And there
So
was some strong winds, so yeah, probably just couldn't hang. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, so we had the buffet. That was an amazing first day. And your dad, so nicely of him, gave us freaking money for the buffet.
he
That
gave us
was
like $200, just
right.
like
Yeah, here you
here you go,
are.
guys. Here, take
Just
us. And
boom.
we're by no means rich people whatso freaking ever,
Yeah,
so don't get
exactly.
any illusions. I saw one
Exactly.
comment on the Alaska video. This guy's like, I wish I had money to do that.
Yeah, I
You don't have
know.
money to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we had to save, man, and
Yeah.
it's yeah. So that was beyond a treat. I mean, that was amazing. God bless him for that. So yeah, we that was an amazing first day. Oh yeah, and by the way, if anybody's wondering, Dallas isn't puffing on a cigar in the lower right. It's a incense, right?
Oh, you can see that?
I see like smoke just puffing up every
Oh
once in a
yeah.
while.
It's not a cigar, that is incense.
Just a
Gotta have
pipe,
my Zen going, you know.
right? Of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, beautiful, absolutely beautiful first day. And we got to sleep in a nice bed at the end. But that buffet, man, obviously a buffet, unlimited anything. There were
Oh,
a big old bowl, a metal bowl filled with king crab, all you could eat. And we were the last ones there too,
yeah.
and we were like,
There
we
was
really took our time.
there was like raw Wagyu beef.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's like that is the highest grade beef.
Mm-hmm.
And they had
Yeah.
rockfisk, which is just kind of like salmon sushi almost, like
Yeah. That was,
Norwegian thing.
dude, it was all beyond amazing. I mean, there was like five different exotic fishes. Well, exotic, like swordfish, some other stuff. Then it was all prepared in this nice way that complements it really well. The crab was amazing. Sushi, there was desserts, there was prime rib. We loaded up. Um, and you always look back and it's like, I wish I got more, but at the time we literally loaded up and got our money's worth.
We
And
should
dude,
have got a plastic bag and took some with us
it
after
literally,
that.
it's like, you guys gonna
Yeah.
just throw this away? I'm gonna take it. But dude, the chefs must have a feast after.
Oof.
Um, yeah, man, that was amazing. Couldn't have been better,
First thing after COVID is over, someday
dude. For
going to
real,
that going
literally.
to that buffet again.
Yeah, we have to plan our trip around and around that Friday, and maybe
Yeah.
invest in some sort of satellite phone so we don't have to,
For real, we do
you know,
need satellite phones that if we're out, 40 miles away from somewhere, we can
for
call.
sure, for
That's
sure.
important.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been so dope to call our parents or whatever at Uganda Bay and just tell them what we were seeing. So, first night, absolutely amazing. Second morning or second day, the morning of, we got breakfast in the hotel, and that was amazing. I got a strawberry waffle. What'd you get?
Oh, I think I had an omelet.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
Then
because he made I hate eggs, and he's like, I'm ordering an omelet. I'm like, God dang it. Something
I
about
know that
eggs, man.
that breakfast was really trippy because but we know what's coming. We're gonna face some
Right.
serious not necessarily punishment, but yeah, punishment from nature. It's like
Yeah.
there's a degree of that from anything, and we're just sitting there. The buffet area is looking out towards this little lake. I think it's called like Inikmaya or something
It
weird.
was a lagoon.
Yeah, Inikmaya Lagoon.
Mm.
I can't. I'm totally wrong about that. But
It was
anyway,
whatever the name was, and like, yeah, like you were saying, and we were just sitting there and we had a perfect view, just looking out at this lagoon, and there were fishermen, like probably, I don't know, three on each side, and we just kept looking, and there, boom, giant fish would jump out, like every
yeah,
10
like
seconds at least, a giant fish, salmon would jump out.
these
And
guys with their poles, they'd be there just they just throw their pole in, and then
right.
one bites, and they don't reel it in. They yank it out of the water.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, man, that's one thing we need to do next time.
Dude,
But
yeah, and we were looking into it too. We were like, how much is a
yeah,
fishing pole?
it's like
But
25 bucks.
yeah, I mean, then fishing license and all that
Well,
jazz.
yeah, it wouldn't have worked out for that trip,
Yeah.
but
But next time, dude, we're gonna actually bring a healthy chunk of cash and live like kings over there. We didn't even
ugh.
get to go to the museum. I mean, there's a lot of things we didn't get to do, but it's not like we're gonna
We were
only
there
go there
for a
once.
purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And we'll be there many times in the future.
I
For
know it'll
sure.
happen. Yeah.
So we got breakfast, we chilled in the hotel for a little bit, and we got lunch in the Norwegian Rat Saloon, which was super dope. Got a
That
picture of
was
Dallas in front. We were looking forward to that for a while.
that was fate for
Mm-hmm.
myself and
Yeah,
you, like,
for
because you go
sure.
in there, you walk into the Norwegian Red Saloon, and it's got probably 50 little plaques of wood on top of it that are each fishing boats.
Mm,
Um, like every fishing boat that's based out of Dutch Harbor.
right.
You can really tell that's the culture of the town is fishing.
Yeah.
And there were some plaques of fishing boats that had been lost at sea, and so
Well,
it's a real sobering experience to see, like, wow, people literally have just died out here.
yeah, man. I mean,
It is dangerous waters in the Bering Sea.
oh my God. And we knew that like right away. We would, because the Norwegian Rat Saloon is right at the beach. And we were sitting by the window and we could just see the Bering Sea. And man, the waves are insane. and I can't even imagine being in a boat. But another quick thing about Unalaska is the eagles, dude.
Oh,
So many eagles, so many, like everywhere. It's insane. Like we're in Washington State, and there are eagles here, quite a bit of them compared to other places. But
there's
there,
50 times as many eagles in Dutch Harbor.
dude,
It's because there's a it's. I mean, those eagles spent the last 9,000 years just, or who knows how long, just
mm,
eating fish that wash up on the beach.
right?
And then they realize, oh, all these humans came in and they've got thousands of fish coming too. So we're
Yeah,
gonna wait by them and
dude,
their
seriously.
fish.
I mean, it's amazing. And so yeah, we're in the Norwegian Rat Saloon right before we the hobbits start their journey, and just had some brews. I don't even know if we had lunch there. We
I
might have,
don't
but
remember.
we
I think
got
it was
some,
just brews.
yeah, got some brews, and it was cool. The people in there, I mean, I don't know, you could just tell,
They
like,
were rough guys.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's all they did. Just
Just go.
yeah, fished and came to the Norwegian Rat Saloon. Um, so yeah, that was a dope place, and we got to go there later in the story. Um, so yeah, we set off. So basically, we didn't get to see the biggest things in that on Dutch Harbor were Safeway and the Grand Aleutian Hotel, probably, right? And maybe the school were like the
Yeah.
biggest buildings.
Yeah.
And like the Norwegian Rat Saloon, I mean, were there any other restaurants there?
No. There were.
Only one restaurant slash, saloon. You can get slash bar, I guess. So, um, yeah, I mean, so basically we were at our hotel. To the right was a Safeway, and in front of us was the saloon. And that was basically where we spent the majority of our time. So
Yeah.
before we set off, like Dallas said, we got a bunch of supplies at Safeway. We got like some propane and some Fireball, um, and blah blah blah, maybe some extra food, and we set off. So we chose Uganda Bay, which was a hike in Unalaska. And do you know the history behind Uganda?
There's not much written history about it. It's just kind of obviously there was the World War II thing. It's a good lookout position.
Right.
But the whole island's been inhabited for at least the past 9,000 years by the Inuit, or not Inuit, the Aleut people.
Mm,
So every
yeah.
trail that you see us walking on is at least 9,000, 7,000 years old.
Right. I mean, and they're not like your Washington trails where it's like, 5 feet wide. They were like
Yeah,
literally, like literally, you had to watch where you were walking, or else you were gonna tumble down a cliff.
yeah.
Um, and we had like giant bags, and we had like bags hanging and swinging off, so like our momentum was like distorted,
Bags upon bags.
literally. So we were looking up and seeing like, it's probably too far to walk. So we got a taxi, and there were these blue checker. Is that what they're called? Blue checker taxis?
Yeah, blue checker
So
taxis.
we got Linda. Linda was
Linda.
very nice. Um, so we got Linda. She took us up to, and it was weird. I would have thought she would have known where Uganda Bay was, but we kind of had to like, yeah, it's this way, and then you turn right. You know what I mean? Don't you
Yeah,
think she would have
I
known?
guess I guess yeah, you'd think because
Pretty.
I think if I remember correctly, Linda was actually from Washington.
That
I
would
don't
have been a
remember.
trip.
I
That would have
don't
been a trip.
remember. I don't.
Hmm.
I or
It was nice
no,
though.
that might have been someone else that I was talking to there, but
Yeah, because
yeah,
I think she was
uh,
native. A
she
lot
was.
of
Yeah,
the
she was.
people there were native.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to hear a language that's only spoken in that region of the world.
Dude,
And it's an
true.
ancient language.
Bro, that's so
That's
true. I
my
forgot about
language is
that.
one of my things, and I really
Yeah.
enjoyed hearing them just conversing in it. It's
Dallas
good.
is a, how do you say it? Languagist?
Linguist. I mean, I'm
Linguist?
just an armchair linguist. I don't really. I don't
It's a
do it
trip to
professionally.
someone that doesn't know crap about it though, because he'll like hear like one word, like this is how you say this in this language, and he like puts it into a secret folder into his brain that you can just remember like that. And to me, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is how you say it. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, I forgot it completely. So so it's seriously a cool thing, but you don't know how to get to Mount Vernon from Cedar Woolley. So there's
No,
some things. So
I
there's
do
some.
now. I do
Okay.
now.
Okay. Oh my God. Um, so basically, Linda takes us up to the not the trailhead, but kind of like the beginning of the road, because she was like, I don't know if it turns around up there or if the road's closed or whatever, because apparently she's never been there before, even though, again, somewhat popular of a trail. It's fine. Um, so yeah, we just had to like walk, I don't know, like 2-3 miles to the trailhead. How far do
Yeah,
you think it was? Maybe not even
it
that
was
far.
probably like we probably walked 2 miles to the trailhead,
Yeah.
and it
We
was a
take our time.
construction. Yeah, mostly it was a construction road,
Oh,
um,
right.
because there's a lot of construction going on up there. I mean, like just like the occasional thing they're
Yeah.
building, and we got up there, and we were getting pretty tired. Like both our backs are pretty
Mm-hmm.
messed up
Yeah.
due to various things.
Mm-hmm.
So we took a break halfway there and did some time lapse shots and
Right.
whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, we took our time. We stopped whenever we needed to,
Yeah.
because I
Must have been,
mean, the
you know,
scenery.
an hour and a half, I'd say, to get to the trailhead. I don't know. I wish I had a better memory of that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I don't even, I can't remember either, but we definitely took our time. I mean, how many pounds do you think we had in just
Oh,
supplies?
we weighed it. I think we
Oh,
had
right.
50. I had something like 55 pounds,
I had like
and
45 or something, maybe. I think
something
I had
like that.
less, I'm pretty sure, but it was decently
That was just a tiny
close.
bit less,
Yeah.
but
So it was, it's like having I don't know, like a 5-year-old on your back constantly or something.
yeah.
So, so yeah, we definitely just, and that's how we do most of our hikes, because we have a lot of supplies and we
We
love
do.
we love nature. So
Uh,
there's no rush out there, you know what I mean? So we'll stop and smell the roses whenever we feel
Smell the
need
roses, indeed.
to. So, yeah, I mean, and to a place like that where we've never seen it before, I mean, I was happy to stop every time and just absorb. Because let's try and explain what that place looked like. I mean, the ground, we quickly found out, was like moss.
Yeah, I'd say 100% of that island is covered in moss. So,
Literally, like you would step off the trail and it would just like you'd
and
sink into, it's like a foot
man,
of moss.
that that is one thing. I'm gonna steal a little bit of moss from that island because I have a whole garden of
Dude,
moss from my favorite places,
I didn't even
and
think about that. And then you
I
can
know,
grow it out.
I know, and
Oh
that
my
moss,
God.
I will bet you, I bet you some of those lichens live for 500 years. So
What's
I
a
bet
lichen? Like a
the
werewolf?
moss.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yes, exactly. Werewolves, old as hell.
Yeah.
Put those in my
Yeah.
garden. But yeah,
Dude, that
that's
would be amazing.
so
It
it's
really would.
essentially the island is it's a
Moss and
collection of like
mushrooms.
yeah, red and green moss, and
Mm-hmm.
the red moss was very interesting. I never seen red moss before.
True. That's very true. And
And the
mushrooms
mushrooms, which
everywhere.
apparently yeah, like probably every 25 feet there's a mushroom in
Yeah.
every.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Apparently
I met
edible as
these
well.
I met these. Well, this happened later on. I'll get to
Mm-hmm.
it. But apparently, we can eat the mushrooms.
Yeah.
So,
And
I,
I had to talk you down, man, because I was like, yeah, I
no,
know
I am about.
they're probably edible, but We
You know
are
what?
not. We should not risk
It'd be
that.
like a portobello where you have to cook it first or
True.
something.
Yeah, true.
And
And we did have the meat. We did have stuff to cook, but um we I don't know. We just needed to be careful, because we're balls deep in nature. So if we started having some sort of sickness, it just would
would
have
have been
not
bad.
been good. But yeah, I wanted to do it as well. Like if we're at the hotel, and also nearest hospital 600 miles away or something.
Yeah, I think it was 800 miles to be
800 miles away
specific.
was the nearest hospital. So let's be careful about that. So even though, yeah, very tempting. So we we hiked up to the trailhead, Ugadaga Bay trailhead, and we were greeted by two pretty big pond, lake,
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it, which looked super dope. And we set up camp right next to one of the ponds.
yeah,
And
that was really satisfying.
yeah,
It wasn't an easy journey to get up that road for
no,
us. So
mm-mm.
we got there, and it was just so peaceful. I remember
Oh my God,
right about then that we realized this is the most amazing place on earth we've ever been.
literally. It was
Because
like heaven, like how I would imagine some sort of heaven, just meadows, and not even grass, moss meadows, and just mountains of moss.
even
Zero trees.
hearing you say that in words makes me just wish I was there right now.
Oh my dude, I know. And sometimes it literally feels like a dream. You know what I mean? If we
You
didn't
know
have
what?
that video, which you guys should check out if you haven't, it's the first video I've ever uploaded, which is basically a vlog slash story video of this entire trip. If you want to see if we're lying about any of this.
It's
But
true. Like
yeah.
being out there, like it is so humbling.
Oh my
Like
God.
you guys go out there and you'll see that there's a God.
I mean, there's something, that's for sure. Like my yeah, I mean, so something important about this island is there's no trees, there are no bears, there are no mosquitoes. And that the trees is, I can get that. That's okay, but no bears in Alaska? No mosquitoes in
That's
Alaska?
insane.
Huh? Dude,
What?
like mosquitoes is like 99.9 of the population in Alaska, you know what I mean? Like, especially during the summer, like it's thick. You'll smack your wherever and you'll kill like 20 mosquitoes instantly. It's like
Oh,
you
disgusting.
can't go outside almost. It's too bad. Um, but yeah, no mosquitoes. I mean, we were prepared too. We brought like mosquito net things and didn't even have to break them out. Um, so yeah, set up camp at the trailhead, which was, I mean, it was all amazing, but that was a beautiful spot. Um, so we set up camp, and then we did some exploring. So
Yeah.
we explored around.
So I
Uh,
remember we got to that one point where we saw you'll see a shot in the video of it overlooking 3 miles all
oh
the way
my
up
God.
Uganda Bay. That right
Yeah,
there is the most amazing sight I have seen in my entire life.
same. I mean, and the camera makes it look like it's almost a miniature set or something. Your
Yeah.
brain can't comprehend that right in front of you is a straight cliff and it goes on for 3 miles out because it blends in. It's all moss. So your
Yeah.
brain can't, like, it doesn't have any reference. If there was like a
Can't
house in the
believe it.
middle, you would know. But it was just a little, it was, and it made it look, there was a stream in the middle and it made it look like it was a little stream, but it was a big
Yeah,
stream.
we walked for about 3 hours or so through that view, and
Oh yeah.
I don't know, maybe you can edit into this podcast later a little picture of that what we're talking about right now.
I'll try and
Um,
remember that.
yeah,
But if I don't, just look up the video, and
yeah,
it's the one where I said one of the most stunning views I've ever seen in person at the
yeah,
bottom. Yeah.
yeah. And
So,
then we camped. It was really interesting collecting water up there. We found this this hole in the ground
That was
that fed.
weird.
Yeah, because all this water comes up from the hills. It's very pure, so you
Yeah,
could just drink it.
literally. Yeah.
And the pool, it was probably like 3 feet
Yeah,
across,
3 to
but
4
it
feet.
goes like 4 feet down. It was like
Literally. It was just
it
a
was,
random hole. And it was clear as day. You could see the bottom. I mean,
I
it
just felt
was
like it was put there for us.
literally, I mean, let's be honest, I'm sure it's been used
Oh, sure, for
like
sure.
by the natives, and God, that's such a trip. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was put there perfectly. Or maybe they I don't know, maybe they dug it. But
I do.
but yeah, and it led into the pond that was right next to our camp. So yeah, we got water there, and we still boiled it just, to be safe, because you never know if there's poop upstream, or to our 21st century biomes might be a little harsh. But also we had purifying sticks, so you could, suck it right out of the earth, which was fantastic.
Oh, nothing
Uh,
better than that.
dude, literally, like that water, when we had the purifying sticks, it was the best water I've ever tasted in my entire life,
I
hands
wish I would have brought some back with me. I could have sold it.
down. Yeah, literally $500 a cup. But yeah, I mean, that was amazing. And so we were exploring. We found at the top of the little mountain hill next to us, we found the old abandoned, broken down World War II outpost, which, I mean, realistically, dude, when we walked into that, we didn't say anything to each other for a couple seconds because we were both experiencing
It was
something.
a weird energy. I remember I got in there and I wasn't terrified, but I was nervous. I
There
got
was
really
some,
nervous as I walked in there.
if I
Like,
could describe it, and it could be entirely different for you, but it literally felt like the wind shut off. And like I walked into a room almost as soon as I walked there. It was just like I couldn't hear anything else. And I was like, what the crap did I just step into? Because I mean, it took over my whole body, the feeling that I got. It
no,
was,
it was something different than from what I've ever experienced. And all I knew is I walked in and I walked out.
yeah,
I
literally.
needed to get out of there.
I actually kind of skip over that part in the video, not because of the feeling, but because like I was so out of it. I was just walking around with my camera, like, and the camera shot is so like terrible, just because I'm like just like
What
scanning it, and like
happened?
usually I'm looking through the camera viewer into, so I know what I'm recording, but I'm just like walking around, just like looking with, not through the camera. So it's just like it's a terrible shot, and it's cringy to watch. But man, that was a trip. That was a serious trip. We got out of there ASAP. Um, so then we walked down and we found a a vein of obsidian.
Minecraft for real. Like,
Dude, it
ugh,
was amazing.
that because I think it goes in streaks along the
Yeah.
island. You've got like
Mhm.
miles of just obsidian under the
Yeah,
ground,
exactly.
and
Well,
so
and
we went
something
there.
and something something quick to say about the island. Once we went off the beaten path, like the actual trail, dude, the rocks, like they were perfectly intersected, like they haven't been moved in years, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
something I've never even seen. It almost looked like stone bricks, but it was just naturally rocks that haven't been moved in years and years.
yeah. I mean, they've been there for 15,000 years.
Yeah, I mean,
So
and I guess the rich tourists are too good to go exploring. So yeah, man. I mean, so we took a little bit of obsidian. I
you
have
built an
mine.
ender portal
Yeah, exactly.
or
Here's my
nether
obsidian
portal.
right here.
Oh man, I wish I could find mine.
Oh, you gotta find that, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, keep that close. I mean, it's amazing. It's the, because we grew up playing Minecraft, and here's some real obsidian. So, um, Yeah, that was super dope. We took a little bit home. We gave some to our family, and they liked that. Excuse me. So I think that was, oh yeah, and around the little pond was clay. So we made some clay balls,
Yeah,
and
I hope those are still there.
dude, if they're still there, and like the sun, and the water didn't rise and like, wash them away, and the sun hardened them like in a
Oh,
kiln,
take
dude,
them home. We'll take them home.
for real, man. Oh my God, because we put them on a rock, like just they were like perfectly sphere balls, and like if anybody
Yeah.
saw that, they're like aliens are real.
Like, what else would we be doing out there? We're just there chilling. Like, we made our tea. We've
Mm-hmm.
got the top ramen cooking. Now we're
Mm-hmm.
gotta go make some clay balls.
Yeah,
Of course we're gonna.
exactly. I mean, exactly. It was amazing. So what we survived off of was tea, um, top ramen, and my grandma made us some gorp. And gorp is an acronym apparently. I don't know what it
Gore.
stands. Yeah, I don't know what it stands for. Something peanuts, I believe, but it's like what's it called? Mix trail mix. It's like that. Um, but my grandma's like recipe of things to mix. So we had a bunch of that, had top ramen, tea, and jerky. We had jerky as well. So that's what we survived off of. And my grandma donated the jerky, the gorp, and the Kenai lures, authentic Kenai lures that
I forgot about that.
dude, we were so pumped to use those, but we'll get into that later in the story. So, I think that's about all for the trailhead, right?
Yeah, we know we. It was the only thing I can reiterate from that is just the immense peaceful feeling.
I mean, that was throughout once we got out of the town, if you could even call it that,
Yeah.
then it was instantly like things shut off. We didn't see no cars, no people, um, no planes. You don't even think about it, but in the day to day, you'll hear planes go over your head
Yeah,
quite
no.
often.
I mean, we got to remember to mention the one plane we did see.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh,
But
but
we couldn't even hear
for
it.
for Riley and I, like our whole we every adventure we've taken, we always relate it to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. We're huge
and this
fans of Lord
place,
of the Rings.
this place, let me tell you, it looked like Mordor from the movies. I wouldn't be surprised if they shot some of that there.
Yeah, well, it because when you think of Mordor, you think of like rocky and
But like
harsh,
just that
right?
not harsh. Like, okay, maybe there's a game you should play, Shadow of War. The terrain in that game of Mordor looks just like
Oh,
the
really? Okay.
stuff of.
Because the terrain, yeah, and it was so a mixture of that and the Shire, right?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, we relate all of our adventures to Lord of the Rings because, I'm Sam,
So
he's Frodo, and we're all just trucking away and doing our adventures, and yeah, it's amazing. And we're gonna do at least one camping trip this summer, at least with our
at
friend
least,
Josiah. That'll be
yeah.
super fun. Um, and I believe we know the location. Um, but
We're gonna do Watson.
yeah, I forgot the name of the hike, but we can maybe us three can get on a podcast right before we go on it, and then another
Oh
podcast
yeah,
after. That would be
see how
dope.
just. Oh, I can't wait to see how
Right.
Josiah does that.
Exactly. Yeah. And he hasn't been camping. I actually don't think he's ever camped. I'm not sure.
Man,
I'm
people
not
have never
sure.
that'll be a fun thing for our show to
Oh
do.
my God.
Like people that
Oh
have
my
never
God.
been. Like we'll
And
take Rania out. Oof.
dude, that's another one. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, that'll be amazing. And I'm also gonna each trip we go on now, I'm gonna make a video like I did on Unalaska because I mean, imagine if I had huh?
It's so worth it.
Oh yeah. I mean, imagine if I had a video like that recalling each trip we've gone on. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Uh,
Because if I didn't make the one of Unalaska, it would have literally felt like a dream. Like literally.
because for months afterwards, we couldn't even comprehend it. When we
Dude,
talked about it, we would do this thing where we just play Battlefield and
yeah,
just talk.
exactly.
And we're like, we'd just be saying like, so, yeah.
Yeah, dude, because it's like it's such a switch when you go balls deep in nature to, the world we live in, and it is such a switch. Um, I mean, the in every way, and if you haven't done it before,
Do it.
do it. But even if you can't go, deep into the ocean or deep into the forest.
Man, that would be a trip.
Dude, I would not. No way. I'm scared of the ocean, or I'm scared of deep water. But uh even if you can't go balls deep into the forest randomly, like just go into like some campgrounds, some campsites, like it
Just experience the difference.
literally. I mean,
It's
camp in a tent,
purifying.
it it so is. That's what it is. It's purifying. I mean, in every way. And when you come back, um you'll appreciate everything so much more. It's unbelievable. But so yeah, if you haven't done that, do that. Okay, so
I'm gonna grab my coffee. It's over here. Hold on.
okay, sounds good.
Keep talking.
So, I mean, my God, yeah, I really can't stress enough how important it is to do that. If you haven't done it, just do it once. And if you don't like it, you'll still come back appreciating it even more. Because you're like, I do not want to do that again. I love my shower. I love my cozy bed. I love my fan. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everything. I love my blankets. But I-
Literally, you have to be attuned to do that. Like most people just want to go back home as soon as they get
yeah,
there.
exactly. And
But
still, even if you don't like it, you still will appreciate things so much more, probably even more so if you like it, because you're like, I am not doing that again. Yeah.
yeah,
But
it is something else, that's for sure.
yeah, that's what it is. Something else.
Something, yeah, different from what you do normally.
Oh yeah. I mean, and
That's
that's how we lived. I mean, that's not even how we lived in the past. We didn't have tents and crap like that, but still puts life in perspective. Um, so so yeah. First night of the camping at Uganda Bay. Um, how was that night? Do you remember anything? We tried out the buddy heater for the first time.
yeah. I just remember from that night, I just the simple things we did. I enjoyed them so much more. Like making tea with that surrounding, with just
Oh my
nothing but
God, yeah.
nature around you. There's no better feeling.
Mm,
It's better than a lot of things. Like
dude. Oh yeah. And that's the
I
thing.
can't
It's like,
describe it. I still can't describe it.
yeah, literally. I mean, you just have to be there and do that to fully understand. And I
And that's
remember,
the point of this show is just
yeah, exactly. I mean, we'll
yeah.
do it the best we can, but it's impossible.
You guys have to go try it yourself.
Literally, yeah.
It's
If you
easy
don't,
when you
if you
yeah.
take one thing from this podcast, do that yourself at least once in this lifetime. Um, so yeah, I remember each night being pretty difficult to sleep. It was pretty difficult, but it always kind of is when you're camping. Um, but again, makes you appreciate it more when you get a good night's sleep in your nice warm bed at home. But then again, it's like they're different. Maybe that is a good night of sleep where you're waking up and hearing the wind and hearing nature all around you. And I don't know. But yeah, pretty difficult, pretty cold, even with the fireball and even with the Mr. Buddy heater. So that was, and that's how most nights there went. Um, so we wake up, get some tea, and this is the day that we set off for Uganda Bay.
Yep.
So we wake up early because we know we want to get there, and wanted to make the most out of the day when we got there, exploring and everything. So we set off, and it was a beautiful morning. Like, we couldn't have gotten luckier with the weather.
And that's a rare thing
Oh
for
my
that.
I
You
mean,
can normally there's bad weather every day.
yeah. I mean, and again, we went there late September, you know what I mean? So we're getting into winter, and late fall. So yeah, we walked the trail. It was an amazing, amazing trail. Um, like we said, very thin because, the native people made it thousands of years ago, and it's the same ding dong trail. Right to the left of you is, not a cliff. I wouldn't say a cliff, but it's a slant, pretty steep slant of moss. So if you
Would not be fun to fall down.
no, and to the right, it's basically the same slant but upward, and you're just like walking on this little trail. And I mean, man, every moment of that was amazing.
Yeah,
I think it was.
some of the views from the video you see, like that one waterfall we saw,
Oh my
just
god,
pure magic.
really?
Like
Yeah,
it's just it's too good to be true. Like you wouldn't think that nature would just you wouldn't think something so beautiful would just occur.
exactly, just naturally.
It's
I
like
mean, it's
someone thought of that place and put it there. It's like
yeah, dude.
it's wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
check out the video to see what we're talking about. Um, so I think it was like lightly sprinkling, so we put on some ponchos or whatever. But it was sunny and sprinkling. So on
You
the
still
way
have
there,
those ponchos?
heck yeah.
Man, I cannot find them.
Oh, really? Well, you'll find them somewhere.
One of them's still out there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, right.
onward we go. So we're
Um,
walking through the trail, and
cool
like,
rainbow. There's
yeah,
a dope rainbow.
remember that.
Mm,
Then I remember my state of mind when we're going there was just it's hard to explain how you feel when you're going down
mm-hmm.
that trail because
Yeah,
for us we've been in Washington our whole damn lives.
yeah,
We've seen a lot of things, but it's all been Washington.
yeah, exactly.
Like I'd only been to Alaska once before, and I
Same.
was 8 years old or
Yeah, I was
something.
10, so
Yeah, and I just it's just a mix of confusion, peace, and like just uncertainty of what's gonna happen next in
right.
a very good
Yeah,
way.
exactly. One thing when you're out there, you need to be entirely present and
Yeah, entirely.
there. You can't be on Instagram. Well, one thing we didn't even have that choice because there was no
Thank God.
data. Yeah, I mean, I was taking videos, and that was, the least present I was just when I was taking videos. You know what I mean? But when you're there, you need to be there. Soak up this experience. I mean, because when you're not there and when you go to work, you're going to be wishing you soaked up that experience more. Literally. That's how it always is. I mean, even to this day, I wish I absorbed it even more. You know what I mean? And
I know
it's,
exactly how you feel.
it's but it's like I mean, you should live day by day, present. But,
That's something I've been trying to work on that for years.
yeah, same.
Something I personally really struggle with.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And
difficult to do, it
yeah,
is.
I find the only times I can are when I'm out there. When I'm
For
here,
sure.
I'm
Yeah,
worried about what's gonna happen 5 minutes from now.
right.
Like,
Well,
I,
one, you should, and two, you kind of have to because things can get real really quick out there. You know what I mean? You have to be careful. Nature is not evil, but nature is a
nature will kill you.
force you do not want to reckon with.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but it's in a good way. It's always good as long as you're not a ding dong and
Just
dancing
there's
around
there's
cliffs.
no time for inaction. You have to have everything prepared before, and then you can rest.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
As we'll explain, we didn't really do much, just simply chilling. We
Yeah. I
just,
mean, we had for sure some time to chill and absorb,
yeah, like,
but most of the time we were doing stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so we're walking,
Yeah.
and it's not what I'd call uneventful. It's just we're plotting our path. I remember
Mm-hmm.
we had to figure out like how the hell are we gonna get there? Like, cause
Right.
it's not clear. The trails at some points
No.
you don't even know you're on a trail.
Exactly.
And
And
there we saw we had to cross some streams, which is kind of tricky.
yeah.
And we went there and went there and went there and
Mm-hmm.
saw the bay getting closer. And man,
Right.
Ugadaga Bay is beautiful.
Oh my
Um,
God. Yeah.
and there came a point where I think we took a break at this point. We sat down and it was like, man, we can see where we're going now. We're probably less than a mile from it.
Right. Yeah.
And that every moment of that trip was just
Every moment.
every moment changed your life.
For real. I mean, literally, we were evolving every second, our personalities and our souls.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we finally, yeah, and yeah, like you're saying, the trail was a trip to follow because one, it was super thin, and two, it's like there's no people going out there and like trimming the sides, you know what I mean? Or, like
It
trail
was
upkeeping
overgrown at some points.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And yeah, so we somehow follow the trail all the way there. And once before you get to the bay, there's like this kind of taller grass where it's almost hard to see through. And it just opens up to the bay. And it's just like this giant bay surrounded by a rock cliff and a beautiful beach. And I mean, my God, when we first got there, and I recorded the when we got there, and it was beyond amazing. I mean, it was like we got to the place. Yeah, yeah, we were trying to get to Unalaska, and yeah, we were trying to get blah blah blah, but we were trying to get to Uganda Bay, and we finally reached the destination. So it was like
Mm.
time to, I don't know, time to soak it all in. Yeah, it was amazing. So one thing we realized really quickly, well, we were looking for a place to set up camp, and come to think of it, we were choosing either go right or left, and we chose right, which I guess turned out to be a
Well,
really good thing.
it was because I remember on the way there, we had the little map with us that they gave us at the
Yeah.
Unalaska Corporation.
Mm,
Um, and I was just the whole time, we've done this before. We know we're gonna need water, and we didn't bring water with us per
yeah.
se,
Hmm.
not enough at least. And
No.
we selected the Ugadachan Creek. Um, this whole thing is the Ugadachan Creek Valley.
Mm,
So, and that's on the far right side of the bay.
yeah.
Um, so we head down there, and we're walking along the beach. And it's hard to walk on that beach. Those rocks really disrupt your path.
Yeah.
And there's hundreds of jellyfish
Yeah,
everywhere,
dude. Dead,
washed up. Poor
dead
guys.
jellyfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine what the bay was. I mean, imagine
Yo,
how many were
imagine
in there.
swimming in there.
I would not.
Dude, the heck would
Dude,
I?
I mean, we saw some amazing jellyfish. I mean, it was primarily, I forgot the name of them, but it's a popular jellyfish that they're being beached all over Alaska, um, and not just in Alaska. And we saw some purple ones as well, which was amazing to see. Um, But yeah, they were all washed up and there were fish washed up, and we just didn't want to step on those, obviously. So yeah, we made our way down the bay and we saw this creek. We're like, okay, perfect. We'll be able to get the water
I,
out of the creek.
'Cause I remember you were taking some video just of our approach to the creek, and
Right.
I'm just kind of like, all right, this is really cool. Like, oh, there's a lot of seagulls over there at the mountain.
Yeah,
I wonder
yeah.
what they're doing. And there was hundreds of them. And so I
Hmm.
walk up to it, and this moment was defining for me for that whole trip.
Same.
I walk up to it. Riley's still over there. He's
Taking videos
recording.
and
Yes,
crap.
because of course that's what he does, and that's his contribution to that is this trip would not be the same if Riley didn't have that camera. If Riley didn't do what he did, man, we wouldn't be here telling you about it.
Right, yeah.
But I'm like, what are all these things moving through the water?
Yeah.
And they're really just moving so strong through rushing water. And
Yeah.
I look and I'm like, Riley, come here now.
I'm like, shut up, Dallas. I'm doing something over here. You're like, no, Riley.
Like, come over here. And I thought there was, so they're Alaskan pink salmon. I thought there was only a few of them. So I'm like, let's go real slow, creep up, and like see if we can get a shot of these guys, maybe.
And as soon as I heard there were salmon, I'm like, don't frickin' move. I'm like setting up my GoPro to go underwater and everything. I'm like, do not move, because I didn't want them to, swim away.
Yeah.
So I like crawl up and, come to see. Go ahead.
There's hundreds.
Dude.
Hundreds
and hundreds of salmon just right in that creek. And I record the moment I go under, and it shows it all. I mean, you can't describe it in words. And they were at the end of their life, and some of them were still, look like salmon, but some of them look like zombies. And the bottom of it was filled with dead ones, and it goes beyond words. Just watch the video.
That moment really kind of, it both like screwed with me and because just thinking about, I was in a point of my life where I did not know. I was so uncertain of the future. Like I just did not know what was going to happen with my life, and it turned out great. But I mean, we both experienced that feeling of looking at those salmon, just realizing that they're born in that creek, in the very spot, and they go out to the ocean, live their lives, do what we all do, go live your life, and then they go back to the spot they were born, give birth and die right there. That changed me to see that. I've seen salmon spawn, and I grew up in a place where salmon come every year to go spawn, but seeing them out there journeying thousands of miles just to come back in a year and die,
I know. It's such an overwhelming feeling.
You literally just see the circle of life play out.
Literally. Literally. It's amazing. I mean, imagine the stories they could have told us, like in all the miles they've traveled.
Been out 4,000 miles.
Yeah, casual 4,000. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. So that was one of the, if not the biggest part of the trip. And the footage we got was beyond amazing.
That's like Discovery Channel quality.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Geographic.
Yeah, you need to watch the video for that at least, because it's mind-blowing. So two things. We set up camp right next to it because there was kind of like a flat patch of grass. We just put the tent on, but then we realized probably not the safest water to drink out of because it was filled with thousands of dead salmon. Still would have been fine, boiling it, and we had the purifying sticks, but
it would have tasted nasty.
Yeah, exactly. So
that water, it's really, I'll just briefly get into this. Like all those hundreds and hundreds of bodies of salmon up that creek paved the way for the next group of salmon to be born because it gives them nutrients. It's literally, the little babies are feeding off the nutrients of their dead parents. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know, man.
And
the circle of life.
So we camped in a little patch of grass back there, but so obviously our next worry was water.
Yeah.
And so
we just, that day, I mean, and we weren't tripping. We had some bottles, so we weren't dying. So we took our time, and we've been in nature. We kind of know how to survive out there. So we weren't at all like freaking out during any point in this trip, really. I mean, so we were like, okay, we set up camp. We just walked down the bay, the other side. So when we got there, we went right. This time we're going down that left way, and we eventually found. I mean, the beach was amazing, like
Yeah.
every bit of it. And the weather for that day, I mean, we could have been walking around with our shirts off, and we did for a little bit. I mean, it was sunny, it was clear, it was warm. I mean, how
Not
lucky.
what you would expect for Alaska.
For sure, and
Um,
especially not an island in the middle of the Bering Sea, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's like, but yeah, we found
So
water
yeah, we
pretty
were
far.
because I remember when we were looking for the water, we it was just like kind of this doing an equation in our head, like where would we find water? Because that
Yeah,
stream was the only stream there was.
yeah, exactly.
So our only other options would be the little tiny streams you'd find coming through the hills. So that's what we did.
Mm,
We walked along, and there's these big cliffs along us as we're going, and some of them had really tiny flowing streams that wouldn't be enough to dip our. We had pots, literally cooking pots, carrying
yeah.
with us,
Mm-hmm.
and bags of
And
water.
bottles and
Yeah,
yeah,
everything. And mind you, to get to where we finally found it was a waterfall, kind of little miniature waterfall, enough to fill our
yeah.
bottles. It was a really good flow of water,
It was perfect. Just
but
exactly what we were looking for.
it was a mile and a half of walk to get there
Yeah, exactly.
one
From
way.
from our tent.
Yeah, and
So it was like literally like more than on the other side of the bay. Like if we
yeah,
were gonna look at it, our tent was like a little speck on the, and then that really put into perspective how big the bay was. You know what I mean?
it's probably 3 or 4 miles.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it was, but we had enough like, pots and pans I think we only had to do it like once a day, right? To get
yeah.
water.
I think the second day we did it like twice.
Yeah. Just
Um,
because we had a whole day to do it.
and
And
that was the most time consuming thing because I remember, that really occupied a lot of our consciousness there because when we're just to carry it, it was risky because
yeah.
I'm carrying a pot that doesn't have a lid on it.
Yeah.
Um,
Filled with
and
the most water we could carry. We had bottles, like, like water bottles and just hiking bottles, but obviously it doesn't hold as
to
much
carry
as a big
that,
old pot. And you had to walk over the jagged rocks, and some of it spilled, you know, we're not like ninjas, we're just like walking. Yeah. So we had a little bit less when we got back, but still it was a lot. Um,
yeah,
and we were boiling it over. We had like a
the,
little propane burner type thing that came in super handy. We bring that on all of our camping trips. Um, oh yeah, and the thing I was mentioning about the Kenai lures is my grandma gave me those to catch fish down there, and um, and obviously we weren't quite sure if the fish were still good to eat or not. So we just passed on it and had the gorp and jerky.
gorp. That was so good though.
Dude, saved us.
It lasted a long time too because I was feasting on that the
For
whole.
sure. I mean, we all did. I think we had like 7 or so Ziplocs filled with it. And I think it worked out pretty perfect where we had like 0 left at the end of the camping
Yeah,
trip.
that's something you need to get grandma to make some more of that
For
for.
sure, dude. For sure.
I'm
That
thinking
was
we should even go now that I'm free. We should go in the next month.
That's a good that's a good
We'll,
idea. Yeah, I'm
we'll talk
down.
about
We'll
that.
talk to Josiah as well. I mean, all we're waiting for is good weather.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but
And we can
anyway,
go we'll have to see if we need a discovery pass, but blah blah blah. That'll be an upcoming podcast. And with our friend Josiah as well.
yeah,
Um okay. So no no on the Kenai lures, no on the zombie fish to eat. um, Another quick thing is we kind of wanted to make a fire, but no trees equals no wood. And you'd
It was
think
just occasional driftwood.
literally, and we would think,
Yeah.
okay, it's a beach, there's going to be plenty of driftwood. There were probably 4 logs that entire beach.
Oh, I know, and they were
Like,
all huge. Because
they're all huge.
the nearest tree, as I'd say, it's like probably 500 miles to the nearest tree.
Right. Yeah.
You just wonder, how did they get there? Just
I
literally
know,
by
man.
chance floated 500
Uh-huh.
miles, and
I
those trees
know.
are probably 600 years old. Like, it's crazy. Really is
It
crazy.
really is. Um, uh, Carry the story just for a second. I got to reply to this. My mom, real quick. Sorry.
Yeah. So we wanted to have a fire, but it just wasn't an option unless we wanted to go burn a whole bunch of moss, which we try to respect the life that we're walking underneath,
Right.
because I remember when we first got there, I didn't even want to walk on the moss. I was
Yeah.
like, I'll have a video that we'll post to one of these podcasts of me walking, and I'm just like tripping. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
there
We
was
were
we
very
had no
careful.
choice. We had no choice but to walk on it. But
Yeah.
anyway,
We were very
so
we stepped on, like, there were like little patches of rocks that we would hop to, and we did as much as we could, but it would have been impossible not to.
it's a very pristine environment,
Yeah.
untouched.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Um, so yeah, I, the second day, we, I remember that night, we, we watched the sunset, most beautiful sunset I've ever seen.
Dude,
Because
for
it
real.
set right out over where our tent was looking.
Yeah, yeah.
That was by chance, so
That's in the
perfect.
video as well.
Hmm. And
Dude, the night, how clear the freaking sky was.
exactly, that's what I
Oh
was getting to.
my God.
You
Go,
could
you can
see,
say it.
you could see like nebulas.
Literally.
You could see the Andromeda galaxy practically. I mean, the Milky Way, I've never seen it more clearly. And that is
Mhm.
the moment that I wish I had more focus to soak in, because I was
For
so
sure.
tired.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, wow, wow, let's look at that for a little bit. And then we
No, I
went to sleep.
know. I mean, I
And
wish I had my DSLR to take long exposures, because I mean, can you imagine?
I should have done the night sight on my, because I
We
had the
should
Google
have.
Pixel. I could have taken a decent long exposure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. It would have been decent, but it's okay. We'll be there again, and I'll bring my DSLR this time. You better believe that. Because imagine this, everyone. It's like we're on an island, and there's no, and I'm not talking like 1%. There is zero light pollution. The horizon is black. You can see the stars on the horizon, and then above it just gets, more and more. And it's like it was like you're in a planetarium or something. Like stars that were behind the stars, and those stars that were behind those stars you could see. It's
Yeah,
it was
you could.
amazing.
It's literally gives you the perspective of how it really is. You're on a planet going
Right.
around the sun, surrounded by a sea of stars, surrounded by
Yeah.
a sea of infinite galaxies.
Literally.
And
Yeah.
think about the other planets out there. That that's what I wish we could explore.
Dude, for
But
real, man. One
I'm
day.
one day. I'm perfectly content to keep exploring this lovely planet we have.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, think
There's no one better to do it with.
right, dude. I need my Frodo throughout all my adventures. That sounded a little gay, but
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Just
Nothing
kidding.
whatsoever wrong with that. Just the vernacular of two friends.
Yeah. Yeah. So, dude, the second day of Uganda Bay, the weather was amazing as well. Like literally, I mean, both of the days that we were chilling at the bay, the weather was amazing. Um, so I think the second day we wanted to go to the end of the bay, the left side, and just see where it ended. And we saw like this old hut. Um,
Yeah. And there was people that were even
yeah,
around it too.
yeah, there was some. people that were just hiking the trail. And it's funny because there was like these tourists that came down, and they were all like they dressed up and like everything. And here it's just us, like two knuckleheads, just coming.
Look like just pirates out there.
Yeah, just like no supplies at all, like clothing basically stripped down to just like a t-shirt and like some pants, and like holding cups of water and a pot of water, and like
Jug.
top of the morning. Like they're
Good
like, "Is that your
morning to you.
tent down there?" It's like, yeah. Yeah, we're ballers.
Yeah.
That was funny.
We told him to go check out the salmon, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think it really did bad. I guarantee you, almost guarantee you, we were the only people on the entire island of Unalaska camping out
Yeah,
there.
I mean that's yeah, I'm almost positive because there's yeah, there would have been no way. And so yeah, we were going into the end of the bay. We were looking for anything really. Um, and we just wanted to see what was at the end, and it was kind of anticlimactic. It just kind of led to ocean and the cliffs, so we couldn't go any further. And we kind of just spent the rest of the day chilling. I mean, I know we hiked up some of the edge of the left side of the bay and just like laid down in the grass on the moss and just like looked over at the bay. And that's actually one of my favorite shots in the video. It just shows I'm like holding the camera, it's just me and Dallas just posted chilling. I mean it was amazing. So yeah, and then we just wrapped that day up. I mean, we really just it was just a relaxing trip where we just did
Entirely.
whatever we wanted. And then that morning we set up camp, said goodbye to the fish in the bay and the jellyfish.
Yep.
Someone's opening my door.
But yeah, um, we just we packed it up that day. Just the whole thing is too much to describe. Like we said, go do it yourself. It's I still don't have words, but we'll hear it from the man.
Well, hear what?
I'm talking to the people. You go.
Oh, okay. Well, my brother I put on my door on air, do not disturb.
Yeah, I sent a text
And
to everybody. I'm like, leave me the hell alone.
yeah, and he just opens my door and like puts two hot pockets. I'm like, I can't eat the hot pockets, like just like, and then it's like it's not gonna work. Um, just a quick side note. Have you ever had one of these?
What is?
Polar seltzer?
Oh yeah, is it?
Dude.
I had one of those that's cola flavored.
Oh, is that is it Polar? Is this the brand?
Yeah,
It was Polar?
yeah.
Huh, I'm gonna have to try that. But dude, those are so amazing for seltzers. Like they taste like they have sugar in them, but it's 0 calories. Blows my mind. But that was just a quick side note. So yeah, we said bye to the fish, bye to the jellies, bye to the bay, and bye to everything over there. And hiked back, beautiful hike back, set up camp once again at the Uganda Bay trailhead. And
We were exhausted at that point because on the
yeah,
way back it started to rain.
right.
And man, this guy, he really knows how to hike. He was faster than
Me?
me. I should have led
Uh,
the way so you wouldn't keep getting ahead of me.
well, yeah.
I was tired. Like I'm a skinny guy, and
Yeah,
like I'm fit, but
yeah.
it was tough for me. So when we got
You
back,
had heavier pack, I believe, as well.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
thing is, I mean, my dad is notorious for, I've been on hundreds of hikes with my dad, and he is just like a boom, like he's just boom, 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 and I have to keep up or else, I'm dead. I'm just kidding, no, um, but yeah, I guess it was just training. It all led up to that moment, and I just wanted to get back.
very determined. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was getting a
And
little wet and rainy, and we needed to obviously set up camp and didn't want to do it in the pouring rain.
Yeah, and it's really good we got there the time we did, because we took a few breaks before on our way home, just kind of
Yeah.
enjoyed it. It was it was almost like sad but happy leaving, because
Hmm.
we just
Yeah.
had the most amazing experience of our lives, and
Oh yeah.
here we are going away from it. And it
Hmm.
was just like a solemn kind of remembrance of just absolute beauty.
Yeah, exactly. But we knew we had to go. You know, it wasn't like a choice.
We knew
Um,
the weather was coming.
exactly.
So,
Yeah. So we set up camp, and I don't remember anything really. We kind of just spent the night in the camp, right? Because it was
yeah,
rainy outside,
I think we I
or
think
spent the evening.
we went up to go see the obsidian nether
Yeah.
portal we made again.
Mm. Oh
The
yeah. We didn't explain what that nether portal is. We just like stacked up a bunch of obsidian into like some cool tower, and dude, we'll
yeah,
have to see if that's there as well.
I bet it is.
Yeah. I mean, the
But
winds are strong, but we made it pretty sturdy. But
yeah,
yeah,
so
check that out.
we set up camp, went, and it's getting dark out. The sun set at around 10 p.m. out there that time of year. Um, Maybe it was like 9:30 p.m. I don't know.
Oh, real quick, excuse me. As we were walking back to the trailhead, we looked behind us and we saw your dad flying.
Oh yeah, it was actually my dad's friend, and
Okay.
he because
It was the
he
jet.
took my dad told him to look to your left for her out to Uganda Bay and snap a picture, and so he didn't catch a picture of our tents, but my dad sent me the picture a year ago, and it was like, wow, that's actually where we were camping. He snapped a picture of where we were at that moment from an
And
airplane
and we took a video of them as well. So we were literally like looking at each other without even knowing it.
Mind you, it's a passenger airplane. It's an airliner.
Right. Yeah.
So that was
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that really
we get
was.
back to camp, and it's dark and gloomy,
Hmm.
really peaceful still. But we did not know what was in store for us that night.
No,
Uh,
we did not. Oh my God.
like nature will kick your ass.
So basically, long story short, a huge storm overcame us. Rain and wind like I've never seen it before. Or maybe I have, but I'm usually in a house. You know what I mean? But when you're in a tent, and we have a little, I don't know if you know how a tent works, anybody, but you have the tent and then you have a rain cover that you hook into the poles as well. And then, I mean, describing it with words just won't do justice. And this isn't in the video, sadly, just because it was a little too real. You know what I mean? I wasn't present enough to be like, I should take a video for this or just for the video. I was like, just try and survive, just try and live through the night. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, probably got like
It,
3 hours of
it,
sleep max.
it, I slept all right that night, surprisingly, because we settled down that night. We watched a little bit of Das Boot, and
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
then we watched a little bit of The Princess Bride,
Excuse me. Yeah,
which is a dope movie.
it's an amazing movie.
Yeah, and we just that's like our childhood movie.
Yeah.
But it it started really honking out there. The tent, because I was on the wind facing side of the tent, so the tent wall kept going in front of my face, and and I I think even during the night, maybe one of our stakes got pulled out of the ground,
Mm,
um, and the rain cover was detached. It was still on there,
mm.
hanging by like one.
Yeah,
And
that's why I mentioned the rain cover because we kept thinking at any moment the rain cover was just gonna blast off, and then we would be underneath the stars and the rain would be showering us. Um, and we knew it was gonna be a cold night, and we both prepared for it. We put basically all of our clothes on to keep warm, and I put my thick hoodie underneath me, and I'm like, all right, well, this will definitely keep me warm. And I wake up at like, I don't know, seemed like 4 or 3,
yeah,
honestly. And Dallas was sound asleep. Lucky guy.
I remember just hearing you fumbling around. You're turning on the heater off and on, and I remember just over the course of the night, I'm watching the little frost on the heater bottle go down, because that's how you can tell how
Right.
much fuel you've
Yeah.
got left. And the thing is, it's basically raining inside the tent. The
Yeah.
condensation stuff's so thick on the walls that there's a pool of water beneath us.
Yeah.
For some
So
reason, my sleeping bag fought that, but his didn't.
yeah, freaking terrible sleeping bag that I wish I could have refunded, but I tossed in the trash as soon as I got back. But basically, I wake up and the hoodie I placed underneath there soaked. And when I say soaked, I mean soaked. Like I could wring it out. And and it was a thick winter hoodie. And my sleeping bag was gone. Like obliterated with water. And that's why we mentioned the sleeping pads, because that would have completely got rid of that entirely. Um, so I I stayed strong for as long as I could. I'm like, I'm not gonna wake up Dallas to get out of here because it was, I think it was like it was at least 4. Probably I think I woke up at 3, and I just like was basically awake for an entire hour. And then as soon as I hit 4 or something, I'm like,
What I
Dallas.
woke up what I woke up to was the smell of your socks, because you were heating them in front of the in front of
Like, what the
the
hell is
heater.
that
What
smell?
is this guy doing?
Is
But
he burning alive? And
yeah,
I'm like, no. But I'm like, Dallas, I gotta go. We have to leave. We have to pack up right now. Just because it was so bad. I mean, I was soaking and I couldn't even lay down at that point because I got up to dry myself off and I couldn't lay down again, or else I would just, be laying in water. So we packed up, and in the middle of the storm, rain, um, I think the wind calmed down a bit. It definitely wasn't as strong, but still we set
we
up
were freezing when we got out of there.
for sure. No,
Like,
yeah,
our
for
hands were
sure.
not working.
Mhm.
We packed this stuff up as fast as we could, and just
The
and the
fog,
thing,
man.
the fog. You
We
could
were
not
inside of a
see
cloud.
3 feet in front of you. So we're up
Literally,
there.
that's no exaggeration.
We camped in a different spot than last time, like a few hundred feet away from the lake.
And
Um,
higher in
higher.
elevation.
And so we had to literally like use flashlights, just kind of look at the
Dude,
ground beneath us,
I
and
forgot about that.
we didn't want to fall off a cliff, so we're just kind
Yeah.
of navigating our way down, trying to find a trailhead when you can only see 3 feet in front of you.
Yeah, and luckily we did that exploring the first day of the trailhead, or else we might have gotten lost, literally. But we knew somewhat the direction, so we made it to the trail, got to the road, and the road was a trip because it's like, again, can't see crap in front of you. Um, so we just kind of, luckily, I don't know, we just kind of follow the road for a few miles, got to the main road, and at that point, I apologize. um, at that point, we obviously took a taxi there, you know what I mean? So we didn't walk there. So we didn't have the way to reverse to get back to the hotel. So it's like we were looking at the map and we were like, I think it's this way. I mean, the road that we were going off of lines. I don't even think we had like road names to go off of. And
Yeah,
we took a couple of wrong turns. We started like going up this hill, and we are like, I don't
like
think this
20
is the
minutes
right.
too.
Yeah, we were like, I don't remember going down a hill, but
We
maybe.
so on our way back, like before we even got to there, we still couldn't see anything. It was foggy even by
Yeah.
the time we got back to Dutch Harbor. Um, but the we just kept walking until we saw a single light, and it was the light of a construction site just outside of out of the town of Unalaska.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, like you said, we got there confused as hell, just trying to get there. I remember one point we stopped at a school bus stop just to figure out where we were. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and yeah, it was a school bus stop because in I guess they're used to having rain and stuff, so they had like a little shed built just for the children to stay out of the rain. It was cool.
yeah, and like when it started really raining again at the last hour of our journey. and really windy.
Mm,
And so it gets to the point where everybody's kind of awake now. People are going to work, so people are driving by us more frequently now.
yeah,
And we started walking by the school, I believe,
yeah.
and um, this guy pulls up to us. He's like, "You guys need a ride? Where are you guys heading?" We're like, "Grand Aleutian." And here, you take it from here.
What was his name? Jedediah or something like that?
Dario.
Ario. Ario?
Dario.
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 I don't know why I said Dario, yeah. God bless Dario.
God bless
Um,
Dario.
I mean, man, he just do you remember what he did for a job?
He worked,
In the salmon packing or something?
I think he did construction out there.
Huh.
I can't quite
Yeah,
remember.
but he was a super cool guy. He took us the rest of the way, which we quickly realized was pretty far. It would have
Yeah,
been
we had another
another,
mile and a half to go
yeah,
because
for
there's a
sure.
big side road that takes you all the way around because it's so rugged you can't just cut straight
Yeah,
through.
yeah, exactly.
But
Man, yeah, he took us all the way back, even soaking, as we were, and we were like, we just, yeah, and we were like, "Are you sure we could get in the cab of your truck?" He's like, "Yeah, just hop inside," and just super nice. Man, that saved us, dude. And then we pulled up to the hotel right as they were opening and got another room.
yeah,
And we went,
that was the most surreal feeling. Just
oh my
being
God,
back from all that, we're like, huh,
dude. Because we,
oh,
again, waking up at like, 3, 4, packing up, walking
get back
down,
at. I think
getting
we
to
got
the,
back at 8:30.
oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
That goes to show how, long it took us to get back.
4.5 hour hike.
I mean, and then talking about perspective earlier, it's like we got into our hotel. We laid out all of our soaking wet clothes down to dry. My phone wasn't even turning on. It was like shut down because of the water. It's like I had all my camera equipment. Um, I just tossed my sleeping bag. I'm like, screw that. Um, and then I mean, just being warm and then we took a shower and oh my God, it was
Separately.
such an amazing, huh?
Separately.
Oh, wait, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it was separate. Thanks for clarifying that. And
um,
yeah, I mean,
that was the
my
best
God,
shower I've ever taken.
literally, like it was beyond amazing. And then I think we had like breakfast or no, we went to the Norwegian Rat Saloon for lunch. Had a brew.
No,
I
didn't we have another breakfast buffet?
Oh yeah, yeah, we did. There was
Yeah.
a buffet. Um, man, it was
We were
amazing.
just speechless from what
Hmm.
had just happened to us the whole past
Literally,
3 days
we're
up there.
literally just sitting there quietly, just eating as much as we could. And they had like macaroons. They had like little cups of like pre-made. What were those little things? Like, remember the little cups?
Yeah,
Um,
it was like I can't remember what
Smoothie,
it's called.
strawberry
Some
smoothie or
some
something.
some fancy thing,
Yeah.
but it
And
was good.
obviously pancakes, waffles, all the omelet bar, which I'm sure you indulged in. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, it was amazing. And then later that we just spent the rest of the day relaxing. Um, we went to the Norwegian Rat Saloon. I got a burger with a pretzel bun, which the pretzel bun, if you I mean, I can make a whole podcast on burgers and what makes the best burger, but pretzel bun is one. If you're having a regular grilled slider, smash burger is different, but pretzel bun. And the only other place I've ever had a pretzel bun was the Fireweed Terrace in Washington, where I used to cook at, and out of all places, it was there, the pretzel bun. So I had a burger. It was delicious, and a couple of brews. What did you get? Do you remember?
I had a burger as well and a couple brews because
Right on.
we did have there. I wouldn't have bought more than one beer. I'm not much of a drinker, but they
Same.
had something called the Bilge Hour
Right.
and free beers for everyone in there a
Yeah. It
couple
was
times a day.
I
So,
think it was if someone paid for them though. if you ring the bell, you pay for everyone in the bar.
Wow,
I'm pretty sure.
that's crazy.
Yeah, because I remember we heard a bell and we're like, all right, whatever. And then like someone's like, what can I get you guys? And we're like, we're good. And he's like, it's free. And we were like, all right, well, if it's free. And that was so awesome. And I mean, the view of the ocean. I mean, the eagles flying around, beyond amazing in every way, man. And yeah, uh, the process of leaving was a little scary because the storms were intense and
Flights got
everybody was,
canceled for 2 days.
yeah,
I think we were there 2 extra days.
I believe so. And we're buddy passes, so we don't have a set place.
We
So
don't
we're
have
just,
priority to get
yeah.
on a flight.
So
So
if
they
it's
actually
full,
snuck us in, actually.
really, oh
Yeah.
my God. Yeah, it's because we would have probably had to pay for another hotel, which that hotel is not cheap. It was like $250 a night.
Hmm.
So it's not cheap by any means. And we just that day, I'm pretty sure we just stayed in the airport for like how long did we stay in that the Unalaska, the
We were
Dutch Harbor
there.
airport?
We got out of there at like 5 in the afternoon.
But we
And
sat
we
in the
sat for
actual waiting room for like 8 hours, right?
8 hours because we were sitting there. I was just on my phone, and then we went into the Deadliest Catch
Oh yeah.
restaurant or the
There's a
bar,
little restaurant inside of the airport.
and that's where. And if you watch Deadliest Catch, every time they're in a bar, it's that bar.
Right.
So we we sat there, and I can't remember what I ate. It was
I
like some Thai food or something weird. But
I had a club sandwich.
yeah, and we had some beer. I don't know if we had any liquor or anything, but yeah, we got ourselves prepared for the flight. So and finally, like the ground operations people there, they know who we are. They know. They call
Your
my
dad
dad
and
Big.
everything.
They called my dad Big Bird because he's so tall and he flies an
Yeah.
airplane. So they're like, they know Big Bird's kid and his friend are stuck out there.
Right.
They they snuck us in above some poor people on this final airplane that was coming in, and
Yeah.
we finally got out of there.
Yeah, and then got out Anchorage, and we had to sit in the Anchorage airport for
4
another
hours.
few hours. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
we
then we,
got out of there at midnight, and we didn't even know if we were going to be on the same airplane. Like
yeah,
we figured, all right, if one of us doesn't make it, we'll wait for the
yeah,
next one.
it was scary, man. It was
Yeah,
scary, but it literally all worked out. And
and we got on, and Riley, the first time we were sitting together both flights. And this
yeah,
time Riley had to go sit up somewhere, and I had to sit next to this guy.
just wherever it
Yeah,
was free.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And this
sat
guy
next to
was
him.
weird too, because he was doing something very odd the whole flight. He was reading porn. It didn't have pictures or anything, but
Oh,
he was reading
yeah,
erotic novels
right.
next to me the whole
And
time.
you were sitting there indulging as well.
Of course,
You're like, I
looking
love
over
this
his
one.
shoulder. Yeah.
I actually love this part. There's a twist to this.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I sat next to get some heavier guy, so I kind of had to like sit like this the whole time, but he didn't say anything, and I just watched Aquaman for
Yeah,
free
I
on
was
there.
watching The Office, I think.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was another thing. You download some episode of The Office, and we watched that at Uganda Bay, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and then we got home and picked up by my grandparents and went home and contemplated our life for the next few months.
And life got very interesting for me there. We'll talk about that in another podcast.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean, life is a trippy thing, my friend.
it really is, man.
Every moment of it.
But shoot, I mean, I think that's a good place to end it. What do you
Yeah.
think? I mean,
I
that we
think
really covered a lot, and that was in depth. We really didn't leave anything out about that trip.
no, I can't think of anything. It was too much. It's too much of an experience to put into words, but we tried.
Yeah,
So I hope
exactly.
you guys.
And if you want to see the video, watch the video. There is a video of that entire thing and of everything we just talked about.
Yeah,
And
post the link to it on the
mm,
description.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Well, thank you very much for doing this, and I'm sure you're gonna. I mean, I know you're gonna be on multiple times to talk about all of our trips.
because we've got more coming up.
We got more
There's
trips to come out, and more coming up, and a bunch of trips we've done in the past.
yeah. Only spoiler is that some of them may even be on other continents.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man.
We'll see.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, leave a like, and if you really did, click subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Comment anything you want, and see you guys every Monday until I die from old age or
Yeah.
from natural disaster. Peace.
There's